Hello everybody and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today we're going to be checking out something called Highlights. This is another game from the Vancouver Film School's game design department, and this is in fact a kind of a third-person action shooter with a little bit of like a Space Harrier feel. It's got the whole neon crazy retro aesthetic, as you can probably tell from this title screen, and as it warned already, visually I should also mention with my voice that this game definitely has some flashing lights and colors and such, so if you have any issue with photosensitivity or epilepsy, probably avoid, but you know me, I love that kind of thing. So we're going to do a little bit of shooting, and if you'll wonder what exactly it is that we're going to be shooting, well, we're going to be playing as a dragon eradicating phoenixes on top of the Great Wall of China. So I couldn't ask for a much more appropriate and reasonable premise for our game here today. So let's look at our controls before we start. Pretty simple stuff. So we've got, oh, Dragon Breath. I didn't know there was a Dragon Breath in this. Move player on the left stick, move reticle on the right stick. So we've got a reticle that we're going to be trying to point around. We've got our Firecracker on A and our Dragon Breath on right trigger. So let's try and keep that in mind. And here we go into the wild world of Highlights. Oh, you know what? I had it backward. Actually, I knew about the shooting on the right trigger. I didn't know about the shooting on A, I guess, was the issue. So Firecrackers are going to be a thing. Alright, so we're snaking our way around the Great Wall of China, obviously. We're looking for any opportunities to get chain combos going through rings, because clearly points are a thing that happens then. And we're going to be trying to avoid enemies while also pointing our reticle and trying to accumulate all kinds of various things and still see where we're going. Let's actually pause the game just for a split second here, because I want to take a moment to not only highlight the fact that I can move my head when we're paused by using the left stick, but also just how many things are actually going on at the same time here. So we've got our triangle meter on the bottom left. I don't know what that does. We've got our time pointer point value thing at the bottom right, and a number with a big colorful light next to it that I actually needed to unpause and repause to try and tell. What is that number? 185. I don't know what that means. So we've got a bunch of things that I don't know what they mean. We've got rings that I don't know exactly what they're doing, and we've got a series of attack phoenixes coming at me, with which some perspective is a little bit difficult to glean from this, the way that we're hurtling through the world. So the idea here being that, like, we'll be able to not only adjust ourselves, but also be able to keep ideas of where perspective is and then also aim. And now see, this works with a game like Tempest, where we've got sort of a limited range of motion, but in this case we can move anywhere along the front portion of this perspective. So let's show you again here. So I can move up and down, left and right, and then I can also move my reticle on those same axes, which is going to present a lot of tricky things. Now I can move very dexterously. My dragon does seem to move fluidly and quickly, so for that reason, I guess, you know, those are good things. We can avoid things most likely, but it's very hard to parse what's actually happening right here. Now I know this is probably one of those cases where I think it's just going to be a matter of time before I start to get a better feel for like how to adapt to each situation and how to be able to react properly to things without crashing into everything. Thus far, though, I can see this being a little bit of a difficulty curve that is reasonably steep. It's hard enough just to steer the dragon, let alone be able to not miss any of the rings and still move your reticle around. And that's not even to do with the aesthetic, really. I honestly don't have that much trouble looking at the neon here. It kind of helps even to highlight some of the enemies that are coming at you, because they're very clearly color-coded. Although the rings can be the same color as the enemies at times. But I do find that there's just kind of a distinct lack of visual feedback going on here, which is bizarre given how much, you know, overblown visual feedback we're actually given. So when I actually get a successful shot on an enemy, you'll hear there's just a little kind of a thud sound that happens, but we don't get like fireworks. We don't really get much in the way of confirmation other than that little bit of a, you know, point value that rushes out of it. Oh, what is this, a turbo track? Why are these arrows here? I don't know. Well, they're gone now. Oh, we've made it to a new tier where things turn blue. I like this. But in general, that seems to be the one kind of constant thing that I've noticed running through this, is there's just a distinct lack of visual feedback for things that happen in the game, and there seems to be a lot of ambiguity about what's going on. Which, I guess, you know, for the sake of this being just a silly, over-the-top action game, sort of along the lines of Far Cry Blood Dragon, in terms of its blatantly overblown neon stylings and retro, I don't know, just wild everything. Everything is just totally here to be in excess, and I can completely get behind that ethos. I think that's actually quite fun and silly, and it's kind of it's a happy mood. It takes joy in its irreverence, and I would never give it demerits for that. I just think as far as it functioning as a proper game, well, it's a little bit tricky to follow what's going on. And I don't mean that in the way that, like, Geometry Wars is tricky to follow what's going on, because that one, well, after a while you kind of peel back the layers a little bit, and you start to realize that everything becomes a little bit more obvious the more time you spend with it, and that's where I'm not sure if this is also along the same lines as that. It very well may be. But I do like the fact that the soundtrack is great. I like the tempo, I like the mood of this, it's very joyful. I just wish that I had a little bit more bearing on what's going on from moment to moment, so maybe I could feel a little bit more invested in each game, and, you know, that would keep me wanting to keep playing it for longer, because right now, the stickiness of it in that, like, I don't really feel a huge compulsion to come back and try and better my score. I don't feel like I'm really making a lot of progress. I'm kind of just treading water, hoping to see something new. And I guess that's what happens when everything kind of hits the same note. And this note being, you know, extremely overblown. Oh, was that a power-up? It looked like there was like a floating icon inside of that ring. Maybe that was the case. But everything hits such a heavy note with the neon and the joyful, saccharine, sweet sense that's going on here that it almost seems hard to differentiate anything at all. Oh, that's what that does. Okay, so that's our smart bomb, I suppose. Want to save that for moments when we're overreached or ready to lose or something like that. Am I getting health back in some way? Also, I should probably watch my dragon meter, because it says 171 now, 170, 69, 68. Am I losing some kind of metric for not doing a thing? I hate to be that guy, but, like, I kind of feel like maybe just one little title card's worth of instructions might have been necessary here, just so I have a little bit better of an idea what's going on. Yeah, see, I can't judge the perspective well enough to tell if I'm running into those shots or not. Well, I don't mean to come across so harsh or negative on this. I like this one largely for the graphical aesthetic here, and again, the overjoyous nature that this seems to celebrate, and I think there's nothing wrong with that type of thing. I just wish there was a little bit more here that I could get into really wanting to play over and over again. But I don't think that necessarily has to be every game, and not every game has to aspire to be something that's going to last a really long time. Some people maybe just want to jump in, try this for a few minutes, and that might be all they need. And if that's what they were going for in development, then, you know, by all means, enjoy. I do definitely want to see more of this, and I was kind of hoping maybe we'd get to the end and fight, like, the boss Phoenix or something, but I don't know if that's actually a thing that will happen. But I'd be curious to know what you think of this one as well. If you enjoy sort of games along the same premise, the same style, that are very, very, very fast-paced. You know, I'm reminded also of maybe Panzer Dragoon. There was a little bit of that going on, obviously a little bit less neon in that respect, but still a similar perspective and a similar gameplay mechanic. But I think the thing that let that game get away with it a little bit more is the fact that, you know, every other moment you were shooting a series of homing shots, whereas in this one you only have your own reticle to guide your shots around, so you've definitely got to be a little bit better at controlling both the dragon and the shooting than I am right now, and I'm sure that's probably a thing that most of you can do in pretty short order. Regardless, that's kind of where I fall on things. But highlights, I would love to see more games that look like this. Just a little bit more attention to the actual, you know, visual feedback, and I think we would be along the right track here. Maybe even having the music kind of reverberate through the tempo and the pacing of the game would be kind of neat too, because the music does seem like a really big driving element in this production, so I'd kind of like to see it expressed more in the visuals, if that makes sense, because I know that's kind of a thing. If you're dealing with neon and you're dealing with bright lights, I mean, obviously the extension then goes to being like, it's like we're at a rave, it's like we're at a party, everything becomes a visual spectralizer, and why don't we, you know, look for those cues from the music in the visuals? And, well, I guess maybe I just sort of expected that for one reason or another, but maybe that's just because I've been indoctrinated to believe that that's a thing that should happen from other games that have taken a similar premise or perspective on that. Let me know what you think again, like I said earlier. If you want to leave a comment, I'd be curious to know your perspectives on this in general. And I guess that's going to be it for highlights. There are our credits, of course, and of course the link for this is going to be available right in the description. So if you'd like to go try this out yourself, which I highly recommend that you do, go give it a download and then let me know what you think. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, as always, make sure you leave a like on it, as it does help me know that you're still enjoying the series and that you might come back for another one tomorrow, because new episodes of Indie Impressions go up every single day. So I look forward to bringing you more in the future, and I hope you'll stick around, and I hope you have a fantastic night as well. Talk to y'all later.